Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our office hours, all about the G2 report season. Let me share my screen and then I'll ask everyone's favorite work from home question. Can you see my screen? Cool. Alrighty, so today you have the luck, the pleasure to have myself and Kevin Long here to chat to you about G2 reports. So quickly, we'll introduce ourselves. I am Gina Carr. I am a customer and product marketing manager here at G2. So I'll be talking about a little bit more of the marketing side of G2 reports. And then Kevin.
Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Long, Senior Director of Product R&D Operations. So I work really closely on the processes in the back end of how these reports are published and come out every year or every quarter. So excited to talk to you all a bit more about it.
Perfect. All righty. So a quick recap here for everyone who is new about what exactly office hours is. So this is really a place for you to come each month to ask us questions, to tell us like what's keeping you up at night, how can we help you? We have a topic each month. It changes. We've done one on reviews. We've done one on buyer intent. Today, we're talking about the content subscription. And as soon as we have the topics for the next month's all set, we will add it to our G2U page about office hours. I'll have the link, I think, on the next slide if you want to copy it down. But this is quickly just what we do. So this is your place for questions. So a few housekeeping things here. If you have a question, please either raise your hand with the raise hand function in Zoom or drop your question in the chat. Either way works. If you have any follow-up questions, hopefully we can answer them in the chat or in the Zoom in time. But you can contact us if you're already a G2 customer. You can also let your account manager know, and then we'll be able to answer any questions that you have. And then a recording of this session will be available on the G2U page at this link, sell.g2.com/G2-university. And if you see me looking over to the side, it's because I have two monitors. So I'm looking at the slide deck over here. I promise I'm paying attention. All right, so today's topics. We're going to quickly do an overview of reports, what you can do with G2 reports, licensing them versus not, a couple examples, and some next steps you take. So some of this might be a little basic if you're a G2 expert and you've been here for a while, but we really want to make sure that everyone is on the same page and has an equal playing field. So please bear with us as we maybe talk through some things that you might not know, because not everyone is going to have that same amount of knowledge, and we want to share the wealth. I'm going to try not to say alrighty again, because I've heard myself say it 3 times now. So we are going to start with an overview of reports. And that's going to be talking about like, what's the value, what's included in this content subscription I keep hearing about, and what are some important report cycle details that you need to know. So quickly, the basic value of our reports are to help you engage your buyers, to enhance marketing programs that you already have set up, and accelerate your pipeline by letting your users' reviews sell for you. This is going to give your prospects the confidence they need to buy because they realize that people just like them have already helped out, they've used your software, and they know what it's about. So the G2 content subscription is our package of these reports that we create each quarter. So with this, you're able to license the reports to be able to share them with your customers, with your prospects, to create sales enablement tools from them. Mm-hmm. And what's included in that are grid reports. So that's overall grid reports and segmented grid reports. Index, Kevin might have to check me. We'll see if I remember all of them. Relationship, results, usability, and implementation index. I think I got them all. We have momentum reports, comparison reports, and then we can also create social assets and infographics for you based on the content from the reports that your product or products are in. I'm going to let Kevin jump in here to talk a little bit more about the report cycle details.
Yeah, thanks, Gina. So we release reports 4 times a year. We have a spring, summer, fall, and winter cycle, and they tend to line up pretty consistently with the following months: March for spring, June for the summer, September in the fall, and December in the winter. Again, these are what the months that you can be expected to have reports published and ready to start sharing the content with your users. I want to go to the next slide, Gina. Behind that release date, there's 4 other milestones that I like to highlight whenever I'm talking about reports, and that'll help you kind of make sure you're getting in the rhythm with the cycle to help make sure reports are ready and the best they can be for you and your business. I always like to start in the middle there with the review deadline. That's kind of the core of our report season, the focal point, if you will. That is the last day that any reviews submitted will be included in that season's reports. So about a month before that, that review deadline announcement on the left in orange, that is the first notification. That's kind of like the opening of the report season. An email saying, hey, it's a month out, get your reviews, make sure you're getting your users to share their feedback. About a week before that review deadline is our report announcement. That's when you'll get an actual notification with a landing page of all the reports you could be included in and whether or not you are yet in them or not. And if you're not, we'll tell you what you're missing so you can focus your last week of reviews in the most impactful way. On the other end of that review deadline, about 5 days after we've moderated and QA'd all the reviews that come in on that review deadline, we'll get the drafts out for release. That's a preview version of our reports that allows you to check your branding, make sure your company data is accurate, and share any other feedback that might lead the report to being perceived as inaccurate or not fully representative of that category or market. We'll refresh any reports that have those inaccuracies during the draft period, and then do that final publish release at the end of the cycle. That's when you can go and promote and share your standings with everyone, with all your customers and prospects. So as you heard Gina say, we've got a couple of different types of reports, and there's different inclusion benchmarks for how you can get into these reports and when we'll release these reports. So the grid reports are kind of the entry-level reports, the one that you will have first and foremost. We need 6 products in that, and you need 10 reviews to be in those reports at the time of the review deadline. Index reports, similarly, you need those 10 reviews, but you also need 5 answers to some of the index-specific questions. Those will be found in our research methodology page. And then finally, the compare reports. Those are really those zoned in side-by-side comparisons. That's where you'll be really just needing, enough reviews, 10 reviews and the 5 responses to the specific questions that you want to be compared on. I'll kick it back over to Gina to talk a little bit more about what you can do with the reports from here.
Perfect. So as we kind of stated at the beginning of this, again, the content is here to help you with your buyers, to make sure they know what you can do, how you work, how your customers like working with you. So there's a few different things that you can use the G2 content subscription for. So number one, and kind of the most basic, is demonstrating market leadership. You can share out your badges. You can say, I'm a leader on a G2 grid. You can let people know that you are doing a really amazing job and your customers are reflecting that for you, and demonstrate that you are a pretty powerhouse product in your space. You can also use the assets to enhance your marketing programs. If you have landing pages that you want to use, like maybe you have a comparison landing page, pop a report on there. If you have emails that you send out, if you want to share on social, like this can all fit into the marketing programs you have already. But then you just don't have to make the content for it, which, as someone who has to make a lot of content, having one thing that I wouldn't have to create would be amazing because it just saves time. You can also scale sales enablement. So Obviously, having those front-facing, customer-facing, prospect-facing pages is going to be really helpful, but you also can use the content in one-on-one conversations. You can provide your sales and BDR and customer success teams with the links and the assets to be able to share with those customers and prospects how exactly you're doing. If they're stuck between a couple competitors, how do you compare? And then lastly, you can find product gaps and opportunities. So in our reports, we tend to highlight like, what are your strengths in the category? Maybe what are some features where you're maybe a little bit below the benchmark? Take a look at that as a growth opportunity for your company, for your product. Take those things back to your product team and see if there's any updates that you can make to make your product even better than it already is. And Kevin's going to talk to you a little bit about the difference of what you can do when you license reports versus what you can do without licensing.
Yeah. So we've got a set of usage guidelines if you're ever wondering about how we can use these and when we can use them without licensing. We definitely don't want to put too much behind the paywall. We want to make sure you can share the love that you received from your customers. So we do encourage you to share the badges and tout your standings, whether that's as a leader or high performer. You can also share your G2 star rating without licensing. But then if you are interested in licensing, what you will get more from there is you'll be able to start sharing the links by email, social media. We've seen a lot of folks put them behind landing pages as well at times. We've seen people start referencing that #1 placement instead of just being a leader or high performer. And then finally, you can start referencing any of the underlying data. So the grid that you see is really just the tip of the iceberg of these reports. There's tons of data points on satisfaction, on feature-specific ratings, on adoption, and so on, that also are contained in that report that you can then pull out either to use in marketing copy or specific content or marketing assets.
All right, I was about to start talking about unmuting myself. That would have been fun. So I wanted to quickly share a couple examples of what you can do. Keep in mind, this is 2 examples, 2 ideas. There's so much more that you can do, and we'll be sharing more assets with you that we have, some blog posts, some PDFs of more examples and ideas of what you can do. But a really simple, easy way to do things is to use Google AdWords. Most of the people that we work with, that's one of their advertising channels. So when people are searching alternatives to your competitors, put an ad there and direct them to a landing page where you have G2 reports gated. We also have a bunch of different integrations that you can use, and a really cool full circle way to use G2 reports is also with buyer intent, if that is part of the package that you have. So with buyer intent, you're able to see who's looking at your profile, your category, your competitors. So you can take that data and you can put it in our LinkedIn matched audiences integration, for example, to target people with the social assets that we create for you that lead to G2 reports. And then it's all making your life a whole lot easier. So you don't have to sit there and think, okay, like I have this, where do I send it? Who do I promote it to? What's going on? We want it to be as easy for you to use this as possible. So lastly, before we get into the chat, just quickly wanted to share a few next steps, and I can repeat these again at the end if it would be helpful. But what can you do right now if you are a G2 customer with a content subscription, if you're a G2 customer without the content subscription, and if you are not yet a G2 customer? So if you have the content subscription, chat with your customer success manager to develop a marketing and sales strategy if you don't already have one. Let them know what your preferred avenues are already, what performs the best for you, what areas are you maybe like, ooh, you know, social isn't great for us, but email is. Okay, let's talk through how to create a really great email campaign. Like I mentioned, you can use buyer intent to target in-market buyers with the content, and share your badges. Let people know that you are doing a really great job. Like those badges are reflective of the fact that you put in the work to have a really great product that your customers love. If you are a G2 customer without the content subscription, make sure you're regularly continuing to get reviews. Reviews are really the bread and butter of G2. They will help you across the board. They'll help you with reports. They'll help you get more people coming to your page, spending more time. So really, really reviews are important. I think you know that if you've probably chatted with G2 and know what we do. Again, share your badges. And if maybe the reason why you don't have the content subscription right now is because you don't look as great as you would love to, take your review feedback back to your product team. See if there are updates that you can make to improve your customer experience. And maybe work your way on over to the leader or high performers quadrants. And then lastly, if you are a future G2 customer, let's chat. Let's have a conversation. We'd be happy to give you a demo of what's going on. But outside of that, you can optimize your profile. Claiming your profile is free. You can make some basic updates without having to pay. So make sure everything is reflected correctly, your logo's right, your description makes sense. And then again, generate those reviews. Obviously, if you work with us, we can help you. We have more avenues, pathways, integrations for you to get reviews a little bit easier, but you can still get reviews even before signing up with G2. All right, thank you for bearing with us as we chatted through all of those things. Let's discuss what questions you have. What problems are you stuck with? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for right now so we can chat, and feel free to come off mute, pop them in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with.
I don't think we have any questions in the chat right now. We can give it a couple minutes to anybody who wants to raise their hand using the raise hand function or plop them in the chat.
Lauren, thanks for your question in the chat to clarify the inclusion and when you can use reports.
And something else to add to that, if your product currently, you're in a category that doesn't quite have all the products to like hit that threshold for the report to be ready, I would recommend you start having conversations with your CSMs just so that they know to be on the lookout for you and give you that heads up when it makes sense for you to then, you know, get that content subscription and start licensing those reports, because the second your category is report ready, you want to be the first one that starts taking advantage of those reports. So if you know that you're like about to hit that point, please go for that. I see a hand raised by Nadia.
Yeah, I just was wondering, well, we've got a pretty good position on the grid and we're continuing to work on it. This is a question on behalf of one of my colleagues working with our parent company. How many reviews do you need to show up on the live grid?
The live grid is same as the reports. It's 10 reviews.
10 reviews,
and
okay.
Yeah, so 10 reviews for any grid. That's the barrier to entry in that category. So sometimes products will be, you know, in multiple categories, and they might have, you know, 10 reviews, but 5 are in one, 8 are in another, but they don't have 10 collectively. So that's one nuance to keep in mind if you're in multiple. And then if there is a category that does not yet have a grid, but your product has 10 reviews, it takes 3 reviews or 3 products with 10 or more reviews for the live grid to appear, and then an extra 3 products for us to feel confident to say, okay, we're ready to publish research in this category.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
I saw a question come in the chat. are the grids more for software vendors to be in these kinds of reports, or also for implementation partners? Kalon, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So I'd say actually the reports first and foremost are what we gear them for the buyers, really helping to make the buyer's decisions, informed and impactful. So I say when I'm asked, who are these for, they really are for the buyers. And then from that flip side, I would say right now they're geared towards the seller kind of licensing and use case. We've heard some feedback around how implementation partners might find this impactful. So happy to discuss that more offline or via email if you have specific ideas, but definitely happy to hear your thoughts there on the value and what might be useful.
If we don't have, and nobody else has any questions, I have one that I know that we have something prepped in one of the slides, Gina, of how one of our customers has leveraged the reports to get a lot of success, just so that you guys can see some real tangible examples of customers who have taken a lot of advantage of our reports and got an amazing success.
Thank you. I'd be happy to talk about it. So one of our customers that has used G2 content subscription very well is DealHub. So earlier I kind of showed an idea of using Google AdWords to promote your reports, and that was a big part of how DealHub used their content subscription. So they wanted a way to elevate the customer voice, but also increase brand awareness. There's a lot of players in their space, and they wanted to learn a little bit more and make sure customers could find them. So they made sure their profile was up to date and as beautiful as it could be, but they also promoted the reports that they were in. And with that, they saw a 2x conversion on their Google AdWords campaigns, 30% higher click-through rate on LinkedIn sponsored content, a 13% increase in traffic to their website, and a 34% increase in monthly page views to their LinkedIn profile from their LinkedIn sponsored content campaign. So this is really the content that buyers are looking for, that they really, really want. And it can help to improve all of those numbers and metrics that you are, that you're responsible for at your company.
I would love to see, like, if anybody here, for those of you that are or aren't G2 customers, how many of you were aware about the content subscription and that you get license supports? If you could use the raise hand function, that'd be great. Okay. Okay, awesome. And then for those of you that didn't know that we offer this, what were you hoping to gain out of this webinar? Like when you saw the title and you saw what the webinar was about, were there any specific questions that you really wanted to get, or were you were curious about, or any specific problems you were trying to solve that you thought, hey, maybe G2 would be great? Okay. Nothing specific. That's okay. That's all right. Gina and Kevin, I think we've answered almost all the questions that everybody had for today's sessions. Unless we have some stragglers, I'll give it like a couple of seconds. Anybody else that wanted to answer? We have a question in the chat. You want to get that one?
So when the G2 page is at the admin back in my G2 profile.
Yes, sorry, I was answering another chat that came directly to me. Multitasking. So
perfect. Yeah, I got that. You can access them through your My G2. There's a marketing content tab in My G2, and then a report library. You can see all published reports in there. Drafts are not published in there at this time, but you can see everything that's been officially published.
And if you were looking to purchase the content subscription, you haven't done so already, you can just reach out to your CSM. And if you don't know who that is, Autumn, let us know and we can put you in contact with them. Even if you're not looking to purchase it, just want to ask more specific questions about your account, let us know and I can put you in contact with them. You got it. I'll make a note of that right now and I'll shoot you an email making a note of that right now. Okay, awesome. Jen, I think we can close it up.
Perfect. All right. So I am going to share one last slide that just has a few links that would be super helpful for you. So if you want some more G2 goodness, we have the G2 University page that we mentioned before. So sell.g2.com/G2-university will allow you to see the courses we have to improve how you use G2 across the board. We also have monthly office hours, the thing that we are in right now. We will add new course or office hours each month. And then lastly, if you want to chat with us after this, if you're not working with G2 already, please feel free to request a demo and someone from our team will get in contact with you to start talking about how you can use G2 to improve the voice of the customer, to start sharing it, start using it. We're happy to help and we want to have any conversations we can that will help you get that journey started.
Awesome. I see that Nadia, do you have your hand raised for a question or?
Yeah, just one question actually regarding office hours. Is it always going to be at 4 p.m. GMT? Not sure what time it is EST. So that's 12:30, I believe, right?
Yes, we are going to try.
So
we used to have them later in the day, but we moved them to this time frame so that it will be more accessible to our different time zones. But yes, we will.
Okay,
We'll also have the
perfect.
recording. Yep.
All right, cheers.
Right.
Awesome. Well, if anyone has any more questions, feel free to find us on LinkedIn to reach out, to request a demo, whatever the easiest pathway is for you. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.